The main topic for this week is Bears quarterback Jay Cutler. He left the third quarter of Monday night's 29-14 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles and was criticized for pulling himself out the game because he had an injury to his right thumb and did not return. Now, he wore a protective cast on his right hand at the post-game news conference and said he would undergo further tests yesterday and find out he's going to be out a couple weeks. Now, Cutler said he aggravated the thumb injury earlier in the game and couldn't really grip the ball, in which he said contributed to throwing an interception to Eagles linebacker Nigel Bradham with 36 seconds left in the quarter. I don't know about that because that was just a bad throw. I get it. Throwing the ball, if you can't grip it with your thumb, try gripping the ball like that, basically, without a thumb. It's not easy to do. But, this wasn't a throw that was behind the receiver. There wasn't even a receiver. The receiver was a good 3 or 5 yards behind Nigel Bradham. It was just whoop, lobbed right up to Nigel, and he ends up taking the interception. Now, it turned out that it would be his final play. He was replaced by Brian Hoyer. Now, before that, Cutler completed 12 of 17, 157 yards and 1 interception. He also lost the fumble, but that was more on the offensive line, as he's been in the league for 11 years. And Cutler's missed 15 games because of injuries since 2010. 15 games. Is it time for the Bears to move on from Jay Cutler? Now it's tough because you look at the first quarter against the Eagles, looked really good, finding Alshon Jeffrey for some big throws. And the same thing for the first half against the Houston Texans back in week 1. Jay Cutler looked really good. The Bears offense looked really good against the Texans in the first half and against the Eagles in the first quarter. And then the offense dies, and so does Jay Cutler, and so does that offensive line. The offensive line for the Chicago Bears has been disastrous since the time Jay Cutler's been there. It's been bad. And I'm not putting all the blame on the offensive line and taking it off of Jay Cutler, because Jay Cutler's made some terrible throws, made some terrible decisions, and it's not the first time he's took himself out of a game in which he was criticized by even some of his teammates. I think that's what the argument with McAfee, the defensive lineman for the Bears, who started yelling at Jay Cutler and got in an argument. So now the locker room's already with Jay Cutler. The media's already in with Jay Cutler. The Bears fans already in with Jay Cutler. So is it time for the Bears to just move on from Jay Cutler? Is it time for the Bears to look in the first round of the draft, wherever they end up, whether it's number 1 or it's 10? I'm not going to go anything higher than that. Is it time for the Bears to look at a quarterback? It's weird because, again, you look at Jay Cutler in this offense the first 2 weeks, in the first half, in the first quarter, and it looks really well. Alshon Jeffrey is an elite wide receiver. He's really good. But this offensive line is so bad that it's tough to put a lot of blame on Jay Cutler. Even though it's fun to make fun of Jay Cutler. It's fun to attack Jay Cutler, not attack. Okay, that's a bad word. But it's fun to make fun of Jay Cutler and stuff like that. But at the same time, you have to look at it and say, a lot of this blame is to that offensive line. It's bad. Now, the Houston Texans game, that's more the Texans defense doing a really good job. But the offensive line still did pretty poorly. Right tackle number 70 he's garbage. But, the Eagles defense is not the best in the league. The struggle against them, that's where more of the issues come. My belief is I think they should get a quarterback. They should have already got one last draft. Maybe Connor Cook in the 3rd or 4th round. But I'm thinking they really need to focus on upgrading that offensive line and then maybe get a quarterback later. Now, again, if they're a top 3 pick and you got Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Kaiser, Brad Kai, I think is more of like a mid first rounder. It's a good work them out, definitely. But what's to say they won't have the same problems if you can't upgrade that offensive line?